So my name is Presley. I'm an organizer with Extinction Rebellion as well as CODEPINK. Yeah, and we're here today for our No War, No Warming, Fund Our Future rally and march. And so we're gonna get started with our rally real fast. The Grannies are gonna sing a song for us, and then I'll introduce a speaker. So if folks just could kind of like try and keep a little bit of a path on the sidewalk for pedestrians to just like go through. So either be against the road or against the building. That would be great. Okay, perfect. Okay, so the Raging Grannies are now going to sing a song for us. 1, 2, 3. Where does taxpayer money go? Where does taxpayer money go? Where does taxpayer money go? Missiles, drones, weapons, and war. We wanted a good school with lots of good teachers. We needed a health plan for all human creatures. A lovely green planet with peace-loving features. Not missiles, drones, weapons, and war. Sing with us. Where does taxpayer money go? Where does taxpayer money go? Where does taxpayer money go? Missiles, drones, weapons, and war. We hate paying taxes, but know that we oughta. We gladly shell out for some clean air and water. But why must we pay for destruction and slaughter? For missiles, drones, weapons, and war. Where does taxpayer money go? Where does taxpayer money go? Where does taxpayer money go? Missiles, drones, weapons, and war. Our country has bases in hundreds of nations. We say we protect them from foreign invasions, but we are invading their civilizations with missiles, drones, weapons, and war. Sing with us one more time. Where does taxpayer money go? Where does taxpayer money go? Where does taxpayer money go? Missiles, drones, weapons, and war. Yeah. The Raging Grannies in New York City. Thank you.
Grannies, don't go far.
Amazing. Thank you, Raging Grannies. What a great way. Can I get like a hand for the Raging Grannies? So I feel like that we're going to have a few speakers today. We'll have 2 speakers, and then we're going to have a short theater performance with some, a very short, amazing theater performance, and then we'll have 1 more speaker, and then we're going to head off on our march. So I'm going to definitely let the speakers talk a little bit more about why we're here, but I just want to like highlight that we today are trying to really bring together the peace and the climate movements, because we are all trying our best to fight for a future that is healthy and sustainable for all of us and for all of our ecosystems, for all people. And so I just want to like celebrate today that this is the first of hopefully many like events to come, like to sort of bring together the peace and the climate movements. And with that, our Mike Levenson from the War Resistors League is going to be our first speaker and talk a little bit about why we're here on Tax Day.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome from the New York City local chapter of the War Resistors League and friends. The War Resistors League was founded in 1923 by activists who had opposed World War I. We support all of those in this country and in every country around the world who refuse to serve in the military and go to war. And all of those who refuse to pay their war taxes.
Yes.
And all of those who refuse to work in the weapons industry.
Yes.
People are asking themselves and their friends and their families, especially today, they're asking themselves, what can we do to stop the horrific wars that are going on. One of the best, most effective, direct ways that we can stop the war is to deprive the war makers and the politicians of the money they need to wage the wars. Deprive them of the money and deprive them of the bodies. Leo Tolstoy, one of the great peace activists in history, often said, if people refuse to serve in the military, if they refuse to pay their war taxes, the politicians and the war makers cannot wage their wars. The wars begin when the people up at the top, the war makers and the politicians, decide to go to war. We direct our protests towards those at the top. But we also must have to take responsibility for our role in supporting the war machine. Everybody must take a responsibility for stopping the war. The president starts the war usually, sometimes with the consent of Congress, sometimes without. The orders to go to war are passed down to the Secretary of Defense, to the Joint Chiefs of Staff, to the generals in the Pentagon, down to the commanders in the field, further down the chain of command to the pilots who fly the F-16s and the Apache helicopters, who push the buttons that launch the Hellfire missiles. The orders go down to the bombardiers who open the hatches, who drop the bombs, and down to the infantry soldiers who pick up the rifles and pull the triggers. But if those pilots refuse to fly those airplanes and launch those missiles, if those bombardiers refuse to open the hatches and drop those bombs, if the infantry soldiers refuse to pick up those rifles and pull those triggers, if the working people refuse to pay their war taxes and refuse to work in the war industry, then all of those orders that come down from the top are not so effective, they're not so important, they're not so relevant. Wherever you are on the chain of command, whether you're up at the top, in the middle, or on the bottom, you have a responsibility for stopping the war machine. War tax resistance has occurred throughout history all over the world. People have always been resisting war taxes, and people have always been refusing to participate in war throughout the history of the world and throughout American history. There are many ways to become a war tax resistor. There are people here from organizations like the War Resisters League and other groups that practice war tax resistance. Speak to them today. Find out how you can become a war tax resistor. There's reading material. People you can speak to who are war tax resistors will tell you how to become a war tax resistor. Never think that you are too small to be effective. If you ever doubt that a small person can be effective, think of the last time you had a mosquito in your sleeping bag. Be that mosquito. Join us, become a war tax resistor. If you work for peace, don't pay for war. If you work for peace, don't pay for war. Yeah!
Thank you, Mike. Okay, and I just also, while I'm up here, I just want to give a shout out to the many groups that are here representing today. So I'm just going to read a few of them, but there's like 25, and so we have 350 NYC, we have Brooklyn for Peace, we have CODEPINK, Extinction Rebellion, Granny Peace Brigade, Peace Action, New York State, Rise and Resist, Veterans for Peace NYC, World Can't Wait, Resistance in Brooklyn, and many others. So I just want to celebrate all of the many groups that are coming together today. And with that, I would love to introduce my friend Novoko, who is going to speak for Extinction Rebellion, just on the intersection of the climate crisis and militarism.
So hi, my name is Novoko. I'm here representing Extinction Rebellion, but today I'm repping CODEPINK with the shirt to bring together the climate movement and the anti-war movement. As climate activists, We know that the EPA's efforts to limit carbon emissions on big businesses and the fossil fuel industry are completely inefficient to address the climate emergency. But there is one industry that is completely unregulated, one industry that is completely exempt from all global climate legislation, and that is the U.S. Department of Defense. The U.S. Department of Defense is the biggest polluter, the biggest emitter of greenhouse gases on the planet.
That's right.
By far. The U.S. military has over 800 military bases worldwide, and these military bases are some of the most polluted places on Earth. Years and years of testing of bombs, of chemical agents. The U.S. military actions in Iraq has caused the desertification of 90% of Iraqi territory, causing the agricultural industry to import more than 80% of its food, and this is just in Iraq. The U.S. naval base at Red Hill in Hawaii has been leaking petroleum into an aquifer for 50 years, poisoning the local indigenous and settler people. This past year, U.S. Congress and Senate passed $728.5 billion for fiscal year 2022 for the Department of Defense. This is unprecedented spending. And who's paying for it? Who's paying for it? We are. We are in a state of planetary crisis because as human beings, we derive our sense of safety and security from taking as many resources as we can for our own people, for our empires, for the U.S. empire. And this is what is driving us into extinction. There is no Green New Deal. There is no just transition to net zero without calling out, defending, and stopping the biggest killer, the biggest fossil fuel extractor and polluter in the world, the U.S. empire and its allies. And we must call out the biggest promoters of U.S. empire war propaganda, the Washington Post, the New York Times, Fox, CNN, MSNBC. We must stand together as a people. No extinction, no war.
No extinction, no war. No extinction, no war. No extinction, no war. No extinction, no war. No extinction, no war. No extinction, no war. No extinction, no war. No extinction, no war.
Awesome. Thank you, Novoko, for those powerful words. And with that, I want to invite the Grannies back up, and then we're going to have a short theatrical performance for you all.
Bombs and drones and missiles, and I want my money back. Tax inequality.
Right here, right?
taxes. I pay them right on time. I never even cheated. I coughed up every dime. But our money is the Army's all power to attack with bombs and drones and missiles, and I want my money back.
Fossil
I used to think my taxes went towards things that made us great, like foreign aid and healthcare and the grand affairs of state. But now I know they're spending it to kill and to ransack with bombs and drones and missiles, and I want my money back.
poverty.
So if you pay your taxes and pay them right on time, remember that they're cheating you of almost every dime. The debt keeps getting larger and I feel I've been hijacked. So folks, let's get together and demand our money back.
All of you dragons! All of you dragons!
Remember that they're cheating you of almost every dime. The debt keeps getting larger and I feel I've been hijacked. So folks, let's get together and demand our money back. Thank you. Raging Grannies, New York City.
Yay, Raging Granny!
In the next 10 years, your tax dollars at the rate of $100,000 a minute will be spent on new nukes.
In the next 10 years, your tax dollars at the rate of $100,000 a minute will be spent on new nukes. To end our dependence on fossil fuels, we must stop their tax subsidies and tax their profits! To end our dependence on fossil fuels, we must end their tax subsidies and tax their profits!
52% of our taxes go to the Pentagon, the major consumer of fossil fuels and the key culprit behind climate chaos.
52% of our taxes go to the Pentagon, the major consumer of fossil fuels and the key culprit behind climate chaos.
A fair tax system could raise $252 billion to reduce poverty and hunger.
A fair tax system could raise $252 billion to reduce poverty and hunger!
The U.S. tax code promotes systemic racism.
The U.S. tax code promotes systemic racism. If we don't face this issue, we will all die!
So we got your tax refund here. Here's your tax refund. Come get your tax refund. Make sure you get your Stinger missiles here. Get your F-16. Here's your tax refund, sir. Tax deductible. Here's your tax refund.
Free yet!
Not yet!
Right on.
Wow. That was beautiful, and I don't know how you follow that, but we will try. Thank you so much. Can we just get yes, with Sally Jones, but can we get one more, just a big round of applause for that performance? Yes, thank you. I know that a ton of work went into that, so it was really beautiful to convey just in another way why we're here, all of these different things that are connecting, and really causing and threatening all of us. And so was appreciative of having that very visual performance. And with that, I'm going to invite Sally Jones to speak from Vets for Peace. Peace Action Network.
That's all right. I get the award, the Good Sport Award, for following that show. So thank you. I just want to say we have someone very special, an organization very special to thank right now, and that is the War Resisters League. They have been doing this tax day demonstration, I heard, from the 1950s to today. So that's why we're here, that's why I'm here. Thank you for that persistence. That is amazing. And I feel like we're all part of one big organization. And for that reason, I want to have you join the Move the Money New York City Coalition. And we have some t-shirts around here. We're trying to get a resolution passed in the New York City Council. It's being introduced again. And what it does is send a message to Washington. The message that we're all talking about is no more war. Move that money from the Pentagon budget to the human needs. And with that, let me turn it over. Aren't we going to march somewhere? Or do you say, where are you, Presley? Where are we going?
I'm right here, and so we just need just a minute to sort of, get everything situated. We are going to go on a march here in a second. I'm going to invite the Grannies back for one more song, and basically while they're singing, if folks could sort of, get lined up behind this banner, which will be in the front. We'll move the banner to the front, and we are going to be going south. So basically just get everyone lined up behind this banner and get ready to go south. And the Grannies, if you are around to sing one more song while we get everyone situated.
Hello. How are you?
Hi, Margaret. You want to sing with us?
I know, oh my God. Wall Street banks are made of marble with a guard at every door, and the walls are stuffed with money that the people sweated for. Occupy Wall Street was sleeping outside Wall Street's door, and they know how bankers profit by keeping people poor. I've seen the hungry student carrying her student loan, no job around the corner, and no chance of a decent home. Wall Street banks are made of marble with a guard at every door, and the vaults are stuffed with money that the people sweated for. I see my comrade workers, they should get decent pay. They all must get together and together lead the way. Then we'll own those banks of marble, and we'll open every door, and we'll share those vaults of money that we all have sweated for. Sung by Corinne Willinger.
One more, Mercy. One more.
Encore.
Get ready to march. We're going to march right after this.
The Grannies are going to sing us off, so we're going to go south, and we're actually going to head to
We're gonna go south.
So if you've got banners, move towards the front with your people with the banners. Everyone else, with your flags and signs, follow along.
Last song. Ready? Oh, we ain't gonna pay no more, no more. We ain't gonna pay no more. How the hey can they cut my pay to fund their gruesome war? Oh, we ain't gonna pay no more, no more. We ain't gonna pay no more. How the hey can they cut my pay to fund their gruesome war. No more! Song by Alice Sutter.
Alice Sutter! Try not to pay.
Let's march!
Okay, folks, get behind your banners. We're marching south on the sidewalk, down Broadway. So Presley's going to lead the first group off very shortly, so you can start moving south.